Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. Today we have Skyrunners. This is a Disney XD original movie. It's from 2009. It's an hour and 32 minutes, and it's a very tiny logo. Wow. Yeah. So anyway, this is a story of two brothers, Tyler and he's 14. Tyler's 14, and his older brother is graduating from high school. His name's Nick, and he looks like he might be in his late 20s. But so yeah, and the same with the girl he's hot for. They all apparently just, I'm pretty sure they're pushing almost 30, and they're plain high school students, which is probably good, I guess. I don't know. It's this thing is a young teenage boy's fantasy of finding a spaceship and hopefully having it one take him away from all of his problems, being bullied, being awkward around girls, being just you know growing up, going through puberty, things like that, and just I don't know. It to me, it's like, oh my gosh, if I found a spaceship like this, uh, I totally identify with this. I would be able to fly anywhere I want to. But of course, with finding the spaceship comes a number of problems that sort of make things a little worse. There are men in black that are hunting them, who saw the spaceship crash. Yeah, they find a spaceship, and it's that thing. It's barely 6 feet long from the looks of it. I don't know. It's very small, but it still fits two young men in it at the same time. But the younger boy, Tyler, he's 14, and somehow I maybe I just wasn't paying attention. It's the same actor, but they somehow make him younger and older, because guess what? When you fly in a spaceship, an alien spaceship, and you go into space for just a few minutes, apparently, you start going through puberty, and you get 4 inches taller, and you get facial hair, and you grow up. Maybe they started the movie like at one point, and then they finished it like 2 years later, and that's why it's explaining why he's grown up. I don't know. They didn't spend the money on special effects, at least not enough of it, until the third act, I should say. But anyway, I should say that yes, they're being hunted uh, by men in black, and as they're trying to hide the spaceship from them, from their mom, from everybody, even though they're also doing a really bad job of it. Because as a kid who suddenly gets a spaceship and somehow starts changing his body, including giving him sort of superpowers, like being able to move really fast and jump, and he's stronger, and yeah, I don't know. And suddenly the girl who kind of liked him now really likes him. He at one point, in order to intimidate his bully, he's in the spaceship, and he literally flies over the dude in a public place, like outside a restaurant, or behind a restaurant. I don't know. They also just go on joyrides, just flying over roads. Okay, you can fly anywhere in the world, and first of all this stuff is being tracked by satellite. Like, how do you expect that you're not going to be seen at all anyway? If especially, well, I don't want to spoil anything because you might see this. You might choose to see this. I don't know. You have to have the joyride montage, of course. It just has to be, and it's just I don't know. It works well at examining. Oh God, that sounds too pretentious. I don't know. Examining works well at examining. It pretty much taps into every young boy's fantasy of that don't involve girls, but girls are a side product of getting your own spaceship and traveling wherever you want, having the freedom and also the power to overcome all your bullies and everybody else. So there you go. At the same time, there's a subplot with older brother Nick, who's not about to graduate because he hasn't finished a science project, but it's totally like, for the most part, the C story, It's not even important until the very end of the movie. The B story is him trying to get with Smokin' Gun, Julie Smokin' Gun, uh, in in the throughout this, while she's going out with the guy she used to date, who's also the bully, and then she fluctuates back and forth because Nick missed a date that they were sneaking out for. I don't know. There's all sorts of just sort of flimsy, I don't know, just flimsy through line type of little story bits that aren't really super necessary, but again, they all sort of get justified at the end, and everybody gets to clap. And there's a pop song at some point that, and nobody's at all freaked out. I shouldn't say that. I'm not going to say that. Okay, I'm going to skip over to the fact that I don't recognize anybody in this movie. I don't know. I don't. Sorry, guys. It's just weird that I don't recognize anybody in the cast. I'm sure, like, Kelly Blatz and Joey Polari. Joey Polari does remind, he might have done something that I've seen, but the two of them, I mean, they work well together. I usually am much more critical of kid actors or teenage actors, because I just half the time I feel like they just got the job because their parents know somebody. But in this case, they act well together. They're actually really good. They have a good back and forth. They have a very familiar tone with each other. So you believe that they're brothers, and I think that's a really good thing that you really usually don't get in a whole lot of Disney films, Disney Channel films, because they're usually just watered down to making snarky comments to parents or adults, and then going when something happens. Usually that is the limit, the range of acting that's required to be in a Disney film. Sorry, but it's true, especially at a certain point. And by the way, why is the pop song that they use in this, which of course is a band that from a song I've never heard, still sound like it's a late 90s Smash Mouth ripoff? And this is 2009. You guys had 10 years. Come on. Either way, what I will say is that they did kind of spend their budget in the third act, where we get to discover that there's aliens hunting them, chasing them down. They even do speaking of aliens, they do a really almost a shot-for-shot aliens tribute, where Tyler is pinned up against a wall, kind of like Ripley, as the alien monster, dripping ooze and all these teeth, just sort of moves in, and he turns his head. It's that classic scene with the alien queen and Ripley. So, yeah, it's kind of, well, maybe not the queen. Was it the queen? It was just a xenomorph, and I don't remember. Either way, it was that face-off, that iconic two-shot of the two of them that they mimicked almost exactly in this. The alien creatures, the practical ones, they do a really good kind of Jaws build-up where it's in the dark, barely seen, and I figured it was probably because the monster looked awful, but when it was brought into the light, it actually wasn't bad. Yeah, it's a guy in a suit when it isn't a digital creation, but the design of the creature wasn't bad. It was actually really good. You don't expect. I'm sorry, I know it sounds kind of obnoxious, but you don't really expect things to look this good in productions that probably don't have that big of a budget. Yeah, the digital effects in this, the spaceship stuff, aren't always the greatest. It feels like they used a digital version of the ship even when they didn't have to. Like, sitting in the garage, it looked like a digital ship rather than an actual ship. It just didn't feel real. The flying and fighting scenes, yeah, it's pretty standard stuff. It's not, you can't really make that look too bad unless it's just weird compositing. But the practical versions of the ship and practical versions of the aliens actually look good. The setting for final underground battle kind of thing. It looked good. It was actually really, really well constructed, and it didn't just look like paper mache. Uh, so way to go. I can't say this is the kind of movie. I mean, this is the kind of movie that I would love when I was 14. Yeah, it's got elements of Last Starfighter, Flight of the Navigator, all these kind of things, but it's very much 2009. Like just about everything else that is put on Disney Channel, Disney XD, this looks like a gateway to either a franchise, like a series. Maybe there are more of these that are just not on Disney Plus yet, or they would turn it into a series. So you would have, a whole season of them fighting different aliens, discovering different things about the world. There is a sort of a underlying subplot of saving the Earth from destruction through environmental things. Why is the weather so weird? Well, could be global warming, climate change, but it's aliens that are trying to mess with the world. It's not aliens, but but it's a nice try, for reasoning why everything is just going kablooey. But in 2009, yeah, this movie is 12 years old at this point, so yeah, I can't say this is the kind of thing that's going to blow your mind, because it hits all the beats that you'd expect. It gets muddled down a lot in getting payback on bullies and getting the girl, and even though it's not necessarily earned, it's just sort of, we did a thing pretty much by accident. And they have all these tools they get that the older brother, who's cocky and thinks he knows everything, he keeps ruining along the way. And it kind of, so it's the kind of thing, if it made things too easy in future adventures, well then, there's no challenge. They're unstoppable. These kids would be awful. But I think it's surprisingly decently acted by the two leads, and there's a little, couple of moments where you kind of laugh out loud. There's a number of weirdly inappropriate for Disney moments. Not inappropriate, I'm not gonna say inappropriate, but a little bit more mature than you'd expect it to be. A little bit of innuendo that isn't overt, it isn't gross, but it's surprising for Disney. Let's just say that. If this had been made on Netflix or something else, there'd be swears abound, and these kids would be much, much, much hornier. They wouldn't be just like, hey, you know what? Let's go get pizza. Yeah. She's really disappointed he didn't make it out for pizza. Mm-hmm. Okay. But hey, yeah, it ends how you expect. Gets the girl in the end, and saves the day, saves the world. But if you grew up with this, go for it. Check it out again. See if it stands up to time, and let me know if it does. If it stands up after 12 years. I don't know. I didn't have much expectations for it because I had no idea what this was until it was picked yesterday. So here you go. That's my thoughts on it. It's not something I'm ever going to watch again, but it wasn't horrible. Let's just say that. I know that's a glowing review, but yeah. Third act, effects good, the two leads good, and story fairly predictable, and leaving it open for more, which never seemed to happen as far as I can tell. Anyway, let's pick tomorrow's episode, see what we get.
56.
Man, we're bouncing up and down. That's good. We get variety, not all stacked up against each other. Come on, 56. That's a lot. Oh, okay. Jeez. Okay, these are... I shouldn't have chosen this. I shouldn't have had this listed, but it might tease me into watching this. Well, I mean, I have to wait for it to be selected to watch it, I think. It's my game. I can do it however I want. But this is Beyond the Clouds Extras. So it's a documentary based on the series. I think it's Clouds, right? There's a thing called Clouds. Yeah, there's a movie called Clouds, and so the extras. There's like a behind the scenes series that talks about the making of that movie. So you know what? I'm gonna keep this. I don't know how. I think it's a series of shorts or whatever it is, or little documentaries about different aspects of the movie Clouds. From what I could tell when I was adding this to the list. So I'm gonna watch maybe one or two. I don't want to spoil too much of it for myself, but that may not be avoidable. So the Beyond the Clouds documentary extras. Don't know why they make these separate, but oh well. That's what we're watching next in the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Bye. Nope. I'm going to make an executive decision here just because these are not listed in Disney Plus as things separate from the actual Clouds movie. Now, if I'd seen Clouds, which I had not yet, maybe I'd check the extras out. But when they were adding things like to the list week after week, I thought it was maybe a series, but it's really just a series of mini documentaries, 11, 12 minutes long each, which is great. A Promise Kept, A Musical Miracle, Casting Sobieks, Creating Zach's World, stuff like this. I don't watch the extras of something. If any Marvel or Star Wars thing has extras to it, those are not items that are separately listed. If I want to watch a behind-the-scenes documentary of The Mandalorian, that's not something that is at the root that I can search for. So yeah, this is literally what you can see here. These are just the extras for Clouds, and I'm not going to do that. So we're going to pick another one. I'm going to remove this from the list. It's obnoxious that they made this. It tricked me, and they listed these little documentaries. So let's pick a different one for tomorrow. See what we get.
497.
Oof, back up to 400s. 497. Come on. Okay. Now this right here is a Disney original, Clouds, but this is also a Disney original. And by the way, we just missed a bunch of Star Wars stuff by one. So you can guess that maybe this movie might have Star in the title. And it does. It's Stargirl. So yeah, I think this is a Disney original movie. We'll have to check that out now. So we're going to instead watch Stargirl on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that for real this time. Bye.